All right, so welcome to another weekly outlook video. In this one, I'll be jumping straight to pound. Why am I choosing pound? Well, just because I can. and why the daily chart? Again, because I can. So yeah, just live with it. Anyway, GBP USD, we have price. I said and stated that I was looking for higher prices from this down close candle. I was looking to see if it could be used as some sort of order block, right, for higher prices. Of course, now we have displaced lower. We haven't closed below it, right? We have not closed below this last bearish candle, but price is giving us bearish intentions. Right now, we have created a sell side imbalance, buy side inefficiency, or a CB, a bearish fair value gap right here on the daily chart. There's a chance that price could come and take the previous daily high, being Friday's high, before pushing down into this discounted fair value gap. Why do I call it a discounted fair value gap? Because when we measure the recent range, from that range low over here to that range high, we can see where the 50% mark is right there. 50% mark is within the fair value gap, which also has this mitigation block right here. So we could expect price to come down all the way to this blue line, which is 1.25045, right, before we get higher prices, if we are going to get higher prices. But right now, if you were to ask me where my next target is on GU, I'm targeting this daily BC. How are we going to get there? We could either use this bearish gap to fall off, or we could just continue on lower time frames. Now, when we go on the lower time frames, what do we see? We actually got a very good price action on Friday during the New York session. We could get a continuation. As I said, you can see the target, my target, not our target, but my short-term target is right here, which is the daily BC, and there's a chance we'll just get a continuation lower to that point. So what I mean by a very good price action is right here. We had a liquidity sweep at this high, clearing the highs of the previous session, of London session, right? Of course, this is not London session, but I'm just going to mark an obvious high that was swept. We displaced lower, right? Having a market structure shift right there when we broke below this low and had a candle close below that low. That became our market structure shift. Let's mark that out as well, since we're labeling things today. Next up, we have a fair value gap right there. And we have our breaker right there. Let's make the breaker a little bit more visible. And yeah, so if I saw this setup on Monday from around lunchtime, I would have entered this breaker, which is within the gap, stop loss at the swing high, assuming that the high of the day is now in, and I'll be targeting this daily discounted gap for a nice looking 2.23 hour trade. So I would have been in this trade. If I was already in this trade and maybe I did not move my stop loss to break even, I would obviously be wanting to see a continuation lower, right? I wouldn't want to see price push up way too much. Like, for example, here on the 30 minutes time frame, we have this bearish fair value gap, right? I would want something like this bearish fair value gap to keep holding price lower. I would not like to see us take Friday's high, right? When we go on the hourly time frame, we see the exact same situation going on, a bearish fair value gap that we would expect to see hold for lower prices. So now the thing is, would we respect this bearish gap, for example, and continue lower from it to this daily discount area, or is price going to try and take the previous daily high, which is Friday's high, because once we take the previous daily high, remember on the daily time frame, it's gonna be tapping into this fair value gap, right? So it's now a question of, will price try to take the previous daily gap high, tap into this area, this fair value area, before price continues lower, or is price just gonna drop off from here? My thought or belief would be that price would just drop off from here, continue, might chop around a little bit, but continue falling off. When we look at dollar, it's at a very confusing place right now for me. I don't know if I'm still bearish or bullish, because I still stood by being bearish, especially now that the month has ended and we are now in a new month, you know, of March. I was expecting, and since price was this at this point, right, I was expecting the new month to open up, drop into the gap, create the low of the month within the first 2 weeks, then expand higher in the remaining 2 weeks of the remaining 2 weeks of the month. So I was expecting an open, low, high, and maybe close somewhere here after taking the external range liquidity, right? So that's why I really wanted to see March close very bearish into this gap. But of course we're not getting that, because the market does whatever it wants to do, right? So going back to the daily to compare this with GU, we can clearly see that DXY is already within its own bearish gap. It's actually in a very sensitive area where we have an inverted gap there, we have a inverted gap here, well, a CB here, it's not really inverted, and at the same time we have this inverted gap. We have a CB here that got disrespected, along with a new BC being created right now. So it's a very weird situation where I'm not sure, is price going to drop down all the way to this inverted gap, like so, right? Drop to this inverted gap just because it aligns with this other block, and then push up from there to take the external range liquidity, or is price going to completely disrespect this BC that it made to the upside, something like this, respect this bigger purple area that has this inverted gap with it, and then fall off, and that. Is price gonna do that? I don't really know. So right now dollar is not really the best to be touching. A lot of assets need clarity. I mean, GU on its own, if it wasn't depending on the dollar, looks clear to me to fall off to this area, right? But that's again just me, not really something to stand by, not really something to hold. So yeah, of course, if I'm bearish on GU, I'm also bearish on EU. We can see that EU was a lot weaker, is a lot weaker, not even past tense, still remains weaker of the two assets. And let's go to the daily. We can see that we've already traded well below that same BC that we are even targeting right now on GU, the same area that we have as a target. Price is just I mean, EU is just melting through like no one's business. So yeah, I mean, EU could literally just come back into this daily gap now that it has been inverted again. We could use this to continue lower till what point, I don't know, because right now we have engineered liquidity, and a crazy type of liquidity. Look at this high, and now this relative high. So we have very clear liquidity here. For the time, whenever EU decides to be bullish again, we have very clear targets to aim for, right? We have very clear buy side liquidity to aim for. When are we going to start buying? As I said, I do not know. We could use this weekly chart, we could use this rejection block, and price could just come down to it, respect some sort of lower time frame order block. As we know from my rejection block video, for those that don't know, I'm gonna link it up here somewhere if I remember. But yeah, usually a rejection block is a lower time frame breaker or mitigation block, or even a simple order block. So let's go down and you'll see what I mean. Okay, it doesn't show much. but yeah, I think it's a time frame that's in between the 4-hour and the daily. Obviously I'm not gonna go to the daily because it's not too clear, but yeah, basically anywhere within this area, price could bounce and clear these highs. Very likely, very likely. 15 minutes time frame on Friday. What did we do? Oh, look at that. I'm recording the video and the market's just opened now. The market's opened with a gap to the upside. This could actually completely invalidate my idea, because I guess when we go over back to GU, oh, GU's lackluster. Actually, no, the market hasn't opened yet for GU. I'm not even sure what's going on right now, to be honest, guys. You would expect a bearish candle to open up soon on DXY. There we go. GU is opening and pushing up, and yeah, I guess the FX markets are opening now. Let's move over quickly to gold, because I wanted to quickly show that to you guys. Gold also another weird one for me personally. Might not be weird for all of you guys. You guys might see a lot of clarity here, but for me I don't really see much. On the weekly time frame, we are now within this weekly BC, right? So anywhere within here we could push up. On a lower time frame, I marked out this discounted fair value gap right here. I marked out this discounted fair value gap, which aligns perfectly with this. I could call it an order block. So there's a chance that price could push up into something like there, fall back down into here before continuing higher, right? This might not be the smart money reversal yet. Likely. On the daily time frame, keep in mind that we have this fair value gap that price could decide to use to fall off instead of the rejection block that I marked out over there, because I marked out that rejection block as a sensitive area to watch. There are multiple areas actually. Now that I'm looking, there are multiple areas that I'll be watching to see what price does. But yeah, that's all. I don't think this video is not really too exciting. It's probably one of my most plain and boring videos, but yeah, I mean, there's not much else happening. Nasdaq finally cleared the equal lows. We cleared these ones here, then decides to reject aggressively to the upside, but we left open a new daily CB. If I was trading this, I would have taken a trade that looks something like this, target the new psychological level, and stop loss over there at Thursday's high, which is the fair value gap high, right? Or even the first candle that started the gap. It's a very small 1.2 hour trade, but if we are bearish, we should respect this fair value gap here, and we should not take the first candle that started the fair value gap. So this would be my stop loss, in other words. So you could either blindly take the trade from this gap, or wait for confirmation on the lower time frame like the hourly chart for a shift to the downside and take the trade from there. But yeah, we still have relative equal lows over here. When we move on to ES, to E-mini S&P 500, we still have these perfect equal lows residing down here. So I still think there's a chance. I mean, at this point, I'm not gonna lie, I'm not really that I don't have much faith in Nasdaq and ES anymore. We're still technically in a range. We have not broken out of the top of the range and the bottom of the range. So yeah, I haven't been the most confident when it comes to this. I did not even expect this last moment push. Literally from New York PM session on Friday, we decided to just push to the upside. I mean, literally right now as we speak, we could just decide that when market opens in about probably an hour time, we're gonna get something like this, retracement, continuation. Very possible for this week, because it's just what we're dealing with, right? but I would personally like to see these equal lows cleared up finally. The ones residing at 5,797.5. So yeah, something to watch. Lower prices on the indices seem possible, but how do we get there? I would say watch your lower time frames for entries and direction. Yeah, that's basically it. I don't have much else to add. If you guys have anything you would like to add, if you have anything you'd like me to take a look at, of course, just leave it in the comment section. I'm free and happy to do so. So yeah, for now, that's all. Stay safe, good luck as always, good trading.